is Sebastián Silva. I'm a filmmaker from Chile and now visiting Paris because of my film is The Maid is going to be released on October the 14th. It came just because it's something that I'm really related to. In Chile, the maid, to have a maid, is quite popular. Even like middle class and upper class, they all have maids. It's like, I don't know, I've heard a number, it's like 300,000 maids in Santiago. So it's a huge phenomenon, you know? So I guess it's because of that. And well, also in my family, there was this story between two maids. One of them was there for a long time, and she was getting claustrophobic and territorial and just crazy in her head because of she felt that she was in this kind of prison, you know. And then there came a lot of maids to help her out with the chores, and she would fight them back and get extremely territorial with them, and she would torture them psychologically until there was one maid that came to my family house, and she was a victim of this other maid, you know, tricks and torture, but she resisted and she changed the other maid's sort of like point of view by giving her love and affection. So that little story sort of like inspired me to make that into a film.
Peleas de nanas he tenido millones, mijito.
The anger that she's developed against, let's say, like foreign people, like Peruvians, you know, like you can totally tell that she's a little xenophobic with Mercedes, the Peruvian maid, you know. And that, I think, it's because she's been soaked by all these values from this sort of like upper class family, and she's just become someone that wants to show that she's like in a higher position, you know, and she's just confused because she's the maid, but she thinks she belongs to this sort of like rich family, so she feels superior to other maids in that aspect. And then when she fights all the maids, I think that she's just trying to defend her territory, her family, and that little love that she's managed to grow with the family. She thinks she can lose it, you know, she can lose it. So that's why she fights them back so angrily.
Se van, y si te he visto no me acuerdo. Ingratos de mierda. Yo los quiero, y ellos me quieren.
I don't think it's necessary to make a political statement about a film like this. Well, first of all, it's really an emotional film. It's not a political film. It's much more really about a woman who is unable to be loved and to give love. You know, that's what the film is really about. The fact that she is a maid, it's kind of an anecdote. It's a big anecdote because the film is called The Maid, and we see a lot of maids in the film, but it's really about a woman. I didn't want to make a film about maids and how do I think that they need to be treated, because I think they're all different, and it would be really patronizing to categorize them in one same word, you know, the maids. And I would never make a film about something like that. I would get always much more particular and pick one character. I made a short film when I was 18 years old, okay? It was called The Sickness of the Canary. I was young. And but in this short film, there was a character. There was a maid. And she was always wearing a gorilla mask, always. She was a gorilla with a apron, you know, with a maid apron. And then I really liked the image of that, just like a maid with a gorilla mask in terms of an image. It was kind of controversial and shocking, and it's a very anarchist statement. I mean, you're like, look, you're putting an apron on a woman, I'll put a gorilla mask to see how you feel about that. And then in the film, when she puts on the gorilla mask, she's in front of a mirror, right? And there is another scene on the film that she's looking at herself in a mirror when she uses her boss's sweater. You remember? Sort of like describes in this identity crisis that Raquel is passing through. She doesn't know who she is. She's totally lost. She's like, either I am like my boss and I can wear this expensive sweater, or I'm a fucking monkey and I look like a monkey in this maid apron. Like, she's like in between those two extremes.
Ya te expliqué bien cuáles eran tus tareas, los niños déjamelos a mí. Está Raquel, weón, que te ponís hueona.
Yo también tengo cosas que decir. Tú eres la empleada acá.
One of the reasons I made this film is because I had the need to exercise my feeling towards this unsolved emotional relationship that I had with this specific maid, because I never really knew how to relate to her, you know? I never knew if I loved her or if the love that I had towards her was exactly like the love that I had towards my parents or the rest of my siblings, you know? It was like kind of like another kind of love. And so it was never solved. I never had the chance to talk to her about that, you know? So I think by making this film, I had to face this issue with her and with my family and with myself, and kind of like everything came out, you know? And it stopped being a taboo subject at home, and everybody could talk openly about it and talk to her. And then she quit, actually, after watching the film. Like, she decided to go. So it was a very therapeutic kind of episode for my family, the whole film, you know?